filming a video. Tell Haley hey. Just kidding, it's my video. Violet here. Today is a very special video. After last week's video when we worked out together, I hope you're feeling fit and fabulous. There's like 20% of your physique is built in workouts, then the other 95 is built right here in the kitchen with Vi and my mom. Today, we are making a cheat treat, and my mom calls it a banana boat. So we have a banana here. So first I'm cutting a little of the banana out. This is something to do to impress your friends, impress that cute guy who's coming over. If you remember in last week's video, I talked about getting out some pent-up aggression by doing this move. Another way to get out some pent-up aggression, if you have any, not that I do, divulging all my secrets, you can smash chocolate on your counter. That guy at school who didn't notice you, the teacher who's not very nice, whatever. And now we're just getting that aggression out so we can be kind to loving little butterflies of humans. And I want to put the cookie kind. That's a little piece of cookie and I like cookies. Dark chocolate's good for you. I don't remember why. Almond butter, you're smothering it. Living your best life now is what this is. That's what we'll call this boat. Wrap it up. All right. Eloise, your oven on to broil for 450 degrees. To be honest with you, cooking's not my forte. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Living life on the edge. Jesus, take the wheel.
Isn't that 2 hours?
Oh, like 2 hours. Oh gosh. Oh man, I just turned on the oven. So ovens are finicky things. It's fine, you only live once. So we're gonna turn on the oven again. Broil. Oh, I'm getting it all sticky. Oh gosh, okay. Oh, 20 hours. I set the timer for 20 hours and 2 minutes, so that should be fine. Nope, not fine. Timer started. Oh, I just set the timer for 20 minutes, and that's just because that's all I could figure out how to do. Broil for 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Start. All right, now we just wait 19 minutes and 30 seconds. For our banana. It's time to pull it out. It smells good. Oh, wow. I think if you just don't tell your friends it looks like poop, they might not notice. I will say this, if you do have Justin Bieber coming, maybe try not to have it look like this. I wish that the camera had like a smelling option because the smell is nice. You know what? Beauty isn't all about appearance, people. Gotta take out the retainer. Put that right in my pocket. Move over, Martha Stewart. I'm the next Martha Stewart, people. I'm just kidding. She went to jail and I won't go to jail. No. It's mostly grape. Something about it tastes burnt. Surprise! But if you just don't burn it, I think you'll be really happy with what you find. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica Hover. It is so good to have you here. For those who are new, welcome. This is the 3rd episode in this Think Pretty series that we're doing. If you haven't watched the other 2 episodes, I recommend that you go watch those first because they kind of build onto each other. First one we did, we talked about self-awareness and how we are responsible for what's going on inside of us. If we know that, then we can change what's going on in us and make us better. Last week I talked all about vision. So I was saying that if we're not growing, we're dying. That having a high level of clarity and vision for where you're going is connected to having higher self-esteem, confidence, a sense of fulfillment and happiness. And so go watch that one. It's a good one. This week though, I want to talk about disappointment because as I was preparing last week's video, I was realizing that it is super hard to think about the future when we feel disappointed, when our heart's achy, when life doesn't look the way we thought it was going to look. It's really challenging to then imagine things getting better than they already are. And I've broken these disappointments down into 3 different types. So the first one we'll talk about is trauma or tragedy, something that has happened to you that has completely shaken up your life, but it was out of your control. And so it could be something like the loss of a loved one, or I don't know, a divorce that happened close to you, or something like really crazy in that way. Second one we'll talk about is heartbreak. And so that could be heartbreak as in you guys just went through a breakup. It could be something like you didn't get into the school you wanted, you didn't get the job you wanted, just somehow life doesn't look the way you thought it was gonna look right now, and you feel heartbroken over it. And then the third one we're gonna talk about is personal failure. So you have let yourself down and now you're struggling to rise above your own failure. How do we get through these disappointing times, and how do we find a future that's better than right now? This video is really special to me. I think right now it's important that I'm the one making it because I am facing this stuff. I'm trying to rise above my own disappointment in different areas. And so I'm talking to you not as like a professional, I'm talking more as a friend who is also walking alongside you in whatever disappointment you might be facing. So the first one we'll talk about is trauma tragedy. What I want to do here is just give you permission to feel like garbage. If your life just got flipped upside down and you didn't see it coming, and you're trying to figure out what your normal is and you can't find your ground, that's okay. You're not alone. You're not going to feel like this forever. I just want to talk to you kind of tenderly. I know that in my own experience with this kind of pain, it was hard to listen to other people. I was quick to assume that they wouldn't understand, and I really didn't want to be preached at. And so I've been through my own losses. I won't pretend to understand exactly what you feel because everybody experiences loss and pain in a bit of a different way. But what I will say is, you are totally allowed to feel like garbage right now. And it makes perfect sense that it's really hard to think about the future. And having somebody get on here and make a video that's like, imagine a tomorrow that's better than today. I get it if you can't even imagine later today. That's what tragedy does. It throws you off completely. It makes it hard to breathe. It makes it hard to function and think. And so what I want to do is just tell you that you're okay and it's not going to feel like this forever. I think one of the main things that you should know is that there's no substitute for time. Time is going to help a lot. So as you move forward in this, as minutes pass and hours pass and days and eventually weeks and months and years, things are going to feel easier that don't feel easy right now. There are steps to grieving, and I encourage you to take them. If you need to go get a counselor or read books, I'm going to link some resources below that have helped me and have helped some friends who have gone through some really traumatic life situations. But yeah, you're not alone. And so anything you can do to be moving forward, anything at all, just staying alive is a really good one. Talking to somebody about this stuff, whether it's a professional who's trained in helping people walk through grief, that serves a place, but there's also a place just for friends and family and receiving hugs and receiving help. If you're feeling totally overwhelmed by your own life, let somebody help you. The future stuff will come. There will be a day where you will find a sense of peace in your new normal, and you will be able to dream about your future and it will feel nice. Right now, that's probably not the most realistic thing for you, and that's totally okay. When it comes to things that are tragic and life-altering, just getting through the day, just getting through the week is successful. You did really good. If you need to have a glass of wine and a yummy meal with somebody, if you need to watch something lighthearted, there is no shame or guilt to be had in forgetting your pain for a little bit. In fact, sometimes you really need to. My friend Sarah, who I talked about in the first video, when she shattered her elbow, there was a few days time before we could go get her the surgery that she was gonna need. So she's just sitting in pain for 3 days. And so we did anything we could think to do to, healthily keep her from feeling as bad as she felt. So she took medicine, she drank a margarita with me, we went to the beach, we did things to just try and distract her from the pain she was in, because there was really nothing else she could do than cope. For you, finding some healthy ways to cope is important and necessary, and you won't feel this terrible always, but for right now, it's okay if things feel really terrible. The second type of disappointment that I'm talking about is heartbreak. I think there's a few things that go on here. So there's the actual disappointment of like this relationship ending that you thought was gonna be a forever thing, or this career that you've been like longing for and working towards and now it's not happening. There is that disappointment. But then there's also this feeling that your dream has been taken from you, this future that you have dreamt of. So say you're dating somebody and you dreamt of being married to them one day, or I have friends who, because I'm in LA, a lot of people are pursuing careers in acting and entertainment and things, and so their future dream looked a very specific way, and because they didn't get these jobs that they've been wanting, they're not only bummed right now because they're having to figure out their circumstances, they're looking ahead going, I don't even know how to think about the future because my future dream was in the context of me getting this thing right now that I just didn't get. And so there's this part of us that needs to accept the loss of this dream, that our future just isn't going to look the way we thought it was going to look. And if I can encourage you at all of this, is that we don't know what's best for us always. I believe in God. I know that some of you guys don't, and that's okay, but I believe in a God who loves us very specifically and has a plan for our lives. And I think that sometimes we think the miracle would be that he would get us this job, or he would get us into this school. Or a few years ago, I went to an audition for something that I really, really, really wanted to get, and I didn't get it. And then they had the audition again, so I went back and I really, really, really wanted to get it, and I didn't get it. And it was something I had dreamt of for a long time. And as I was driving away, I felt this kind of like revelation in my mind where I was like, man, I think the miracle would be that God would turn the heads of the casting directors and they would be like, that girl is perfect for this. But I felt like God was saying kind of like, what if the bigger miracle is that he's having to block their eyes from picking me, because that's actually not his plan for me at all. And if I would have walked through this door that I was so confident was for me, maybe I would have missed out on something really important that he wanted to do with my life. For some of my friends, it's been that they've been single longer than they want to be. It's that they've been without children longer than they want to be. They didn't get into the school. That's a recent thing I think right now, because people are applying for schools and not getting in, or they are getting in. But I'm talking to those of you who didn't get in. You think the miracle is God opening this door, but it could very likely be that the miracle is he didn't open it for you, because if you went through it, you would miss out on something, or he's protecting you from something. So I just want to offer that perspective to you. I'm not naive. I know it doesn't always work like that, but it's possible that it's like that God's keeping you from something because he actually has something else that's really, really important for you. And the only way to get you looking for it is to keep you from going through this thing that you want so much. You do have a God who cares a lot. That's something that I can tell you from personal experience. The more discouraged I got over the last few years, the harder it was for me to listen to a voice of faith, whether it was somebody else telling me about the faith they have in God, or even me like remembering things God had done in my life that I was really touched by. I couldn't do it because it felt too painful to listen to that. But in recent months, I've decided that I need faith. I need it. I need it the same way I need water, and I drink water even when I'm not thirsty. I need faith. Even if I'm not thirsty for it, I need it, because it's what's going to keep me moving forward. And so I decided to be more intentional about going to church. I decided to listen to podcasts and songs and speakers and TED Talks and things that would speak life into me. It's not that we all believe the same things about God, but the messages that they're speaking are messages of faith and hope and a future that's better than your current reality. And so I would say that as you're in this really, really tricky place of having to paint a new picture for your future, fill yourself with faith. Surround yourself by faith. Talk to your friends who are faithful people, the people who will speak life into you and hope into you. Another thing is, I was reading a book last year when I was going through the whole mental hospital time, and it was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he was talking about the importance of attaching meaning to your situation. I'm going to quote it the way I understand it, so you might read the book and I promise it'll be better than whatever I'm saying. But this is how I understood it. It's like when you're going through a hard thing, the way you're going to be able to really endure is if you can find meaning in it. And his perspective on this was not that you find meaning by looking out there and suddenly divinely this meaning just pops up and appears. Meaning is something that you attach to your situation. And I remember an example he gave. This guy was in the Holocaust. So the stuff that he has suffered through is mind-boggling compared to anything I've been through. But he was giving examples of there was a time when he was in the Holocaust, and the thing that was motivating him to fight for his own life was this idea that his wife was still alive somewhere too. And then he I believe it was he found out that his wife was no longer living. I think that's the story. So then he had to decide if there was going to be another sense of meaning he could attach to his situation. And he did. He decided that He needed to survive the Holocaust so he could write some books that only he could write. And what he was saying is that people he saw who were surviving this concentration camp experience were people who had meaning. They had reason to make it through. And the ones who didn't have the strength and their bodies couldn't withstand the situation they were in were ones who had lost sight of any sort of meaning. And so for you, what I would say is right now, choose meaning. Choose to find something that can help you get through right now, and look for things you can be learning in this process. Even like sometimes when I'm doing social media stuff, like making a video, it doesn't get the number of views that I hoped it would get. Immediately, I can either be bummed about it and be like, I'm terrible, what's happening? Or I can choose to attach the meaning. And lately, one of the things that I've reminded myself is being a good communicator is always helpful. So even if nobody ever watches a video I make, at least I'm practicing clear communication. So I'm finding a reason why what I'm doing matters, even if what I do leads me to a moment of temporary disappointment, it still is meaningful. I hope that makes sense. The last disappointment that I'm going to cover is personal failure. And this one is harder for me than the others, because I think what we do when we have failed is we attach our identity to our failure. We are as good as our failure, which means we are not very good. And when that has happened to us, it's really hard to see beyond our failure. And then when we maybe do better and we have acquired some sort of success beyond our failure, we feel like we're faking it, like we're pretending, like they don't really know who I am, because who I really am is that person back there who did this wrong thing. That's, for me, the hardest one. There's a lot of shame attached to it. There's a lot of embarrassment. Even when somebody around us doesn't know what we've done wrong, we're carrying these feelings of like, ugh, just gross, heavy. They're better than me. They would never do what I've done. I can't believe I did what I've done. Those kinds of feelings. What I will say is that everybody fails. We all make mistakes. And even if we haven't done the crazy thing that we heard somebody else did, we're all capable of some really bad stuff. That's what I know. The longer I live, the more I know how capable I am of doing crazy things, and how capable even the best people on earth are of hurting each other. We're not good or bad. We're good and we're bad. And there's good and bad operating in us at all times. And we are not limited to our good behavior or our bad behavior. We're not as good as the good we do and as bad as the bad we do. We're created by a God who loves us very much, and we're made in his image, and there's so much goodness in who we are. We're gonna have this tension of good desires, bad desires, dark things, light things, working against each other always. And that's okay. It's not just specific to me, it's not specific to you. Every single person on this earth has that same tension inside of them. That's reassuring, because then when we do fail, we can realize that everybody around us fails too, and we can all bounce back from it. I think it was like a few months ago, one of our really good friends, he was just seeming not himself. Over time, getting more and more like closed off and kind of depressed seeming and sad, and just like lost his enthusiasm for life. One day I had him for dinner and was talking to him about it, and basically what came out was that he had made a mistake a few months ago. He had done something with a girl that he didn't intend to do. He had hurt her feelings. He was afraid he was going to hurt more people's feelings if kind of it came out that this had happened. And I was talking to him about it, and I was like, hey, how long did that situation last where you and this girl had this moment? I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour probably was his interaction with this girl. And I was like, it's been 3 months since that thing happened. Like, do you see how crazy it is that something you did for 30 minutes to an hour that's really not that crazy, but it's eating you up inside, has now affected the next 3 months of your life and totally stolen your joy and your ability to function? And for me, it was easy to see because it's in somebody else, but as I'm explaining this to him, I was like, whoa, I do this all the time. I let my mistakes, a little thing that maybe took up a short moment of my life, eats me up inside for days, weeks, months, years. It's just not helpful. What I want my daughter to know is that she's gonna fail a lot, because I want her to know she can always, always, always recover from failure. If we can be quick to be like, oh, dang it, I blew it. Okay, sorry God, or sorry person, or whoever we need to apologize for, then learn from it. Next time I won't put myself in that situation, or now I'm gonna be a lot more compassionate to other people who have made that same mistake. Then we've attached meaning again to our failure. Like, this thing sucked. I wish I didn't do it, but Now here's the productive thing that has happened through it, and then we move forward. If we can train our minds to be people who are quick to forgive, quick to apologize, quick to move forward, then we will live a lot happier lives, a lot more productive lives. Some of the most compassionate people in your life are people who have made big mistakes. That's how they became so compassionate, because they know that they are capable of terrible stuff, and so are you, and so am I, and so is everybody. And if we can just know that, then life gets a lot easier. Failure is gonna affect you. Either way, it's gonna be something that you fixate on in some capacity. So you have a decision. You can fixate on it in the way where you just are like, oh, I'm terrible. I just keep reminding myself of this awful thing I did, and it's gonna bring you down. Or anytime your failure comes to mind, you can recall the thing you learned from it. What did I learn? Oh yeah, I learned this. And then you move forward. And it might come up 1,000 times a day. If it's me, that's what happens. When I fail, I think about it all the time. My husband has a gift when he fails. He doesn't think about it as much. Try and be more like Sean than me. To wrap up this whole video, I just want you to know you're normal. If you feel disappointed, if you feel heartbroken, if you feel like you can't imagine your future because you're so caught up in the pain that's happening right now, you are so normal, and it's gonna be okay, and it's not gonna stay this painful forever. This stuff you've been through doesn't define you. It's helping to shape you, it's helping to make you a better person, but it doesn't define you. Attach some meaning to what you're going through and look ahead. Life is gonna get much better than it is right now. Utilize the friendships you have, books, podcasts, these videos, I don't know, anything you can find to fill yourself with faith and move forward. Thank you so much for watching. It's so good to have you here. We will see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
Looks like poop. Yes, I love it. But I would leave out the banana. I would just have chocolate. See you later, guys. Bye.